Welcome back to stage 2 of the Mirage GT build video series. In this video, we're going to be installing our steering column. As usual, a full list of the torque settings for this video can be found on our website using the link in the description below. Now that our exhaust system has been fitted, we're going to install our steering column. We're going to start by sliding our steering column in through the hole of our bulkhead and secure it loosely for now, using the bolts provided. With our steering column roughly in place, we can now attach our steering column bracket. We're going to secure just the top bolt for now. The remaining bolts will be secured once the steering column has been set in its most optimum position. Next, we're going to attach the splined steering shaft to the upper UJ. The upper UJ is slightly triangular in shape. We start by placing our splined steering shaft into the upper UJ. Once in place, we can now loosely attach the UJ bolt to stop the spline steering shaft from sliding out. We're now ready to attach the spline steering shaft to the steering column. First, we slide the spline shaft down between the exhaust manifolds before sliding the steering column in through the triangular end of the upper UJ. Once in place, we're going to loosely secure the bolt here to prevent the steering column from moving out of position. It's now time to attach the lower UJ, which connects the opposite end of our spline steering shaft to the steering rack. Once again, we're going to attach this loosely in place for now. It's advisable at this stage to check the entire length of the steering column and shaft to ensure that our steering components have optimal clearance between the exhaust manifolds and the chassis. Once we're happy with the position of our steering components, we can now fully secure each of these bolts, starting with the bottom UJ and working backwards towards our steering column bracket. With our bolts now secured and our steering column sitting in an optimum position, we're now going to fit the remainder of the bolts for our steering column bracket. We're going to use a 6mm bit to drill 2 sufficient bolt holes in our bulkhead and bracket. Once our first hole has been drilled, we're going to add our first bolt. With our steering bracket now held firmly in position, we can now temporarily remove our upper UJ, which will allow us access to drill and secure our final steering bracket bolt. With all of our steering bracket bolts now fitted, the upper UJ can now be reattached. Finally, we can now secure our top two mount bolts. The final stage of fitting our steering column components is to fit our steering boss. Notice the position of these outer bolt threads. These will be used to secure our steering wheel at a later stage of our build, so be sure to position these facing towards the rear of the chassis. The steering boss can now be secured using the 4 bolts provided. With all of our steering column components now in place, we can now move on to our next video, where we'll be fitting our fuel tank and system.